Hey Snacks! It's season 4 of Snack Size the podcast, and 2022 is all about you. And guess what? You are fabulous. It's time to open doors and embrace new opportunities. And your dreams can and will come true if you just take the time to pursue them. So this season is a cheers to you finding your fabulous life. Our time together starts now. Hey Snacks! Welcome back to Snack Size. I have been doing a lot of reading lately, and I came across this amazingly written memoir, and I'm so excited to be able to have the author as my guest today. The memoir is about her life while in a relationship with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder, which is more commonly known as narcissism. So narcissism is when someone has an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence is someone who's really fragile with their self-esteem and vulnerable to the slightest criticism. So, now as you know, the show is all about self-love and living your best life, so I do want to say that a lot of people do have narcissistic traits to some degree. In healthy individuals, a normal amount of narcissism helps them to take pride in their accomplishments and to find joy in life. However, narcissism becomes a very serious problem when it impairs somebody's ability to function as an individual and affects the way they function in their interpersonal relationships. And it's not widely talked about, but thousands of people have this disorder. About 1 in 200 people will be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. And people with this disorder can end up affecting many people in their lives negatively, and some of those people don't even realize that that is what's happening. That was the case for my guest today, so I've asked her to come on Snack Size and talk about her experience, and we both hope that if you have someone with narcissistic personality disorder in your life, that you are able to step away from any toxic situations you may have with that person and find help for yourself, and if possible, help them get the help they may need. My guest today is a first-time author, and her memoir is called Toxik in the Narcissist Web, and I cannot wait for you all to learn more about her today. Please welcome to Snack Size, author and survivor, TL Durand. Let's give her a call. Hi, Teresa. Welcome to Snack Size.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. I have thoroughly enjoyed your book, Toxik in the Narcissist Web. It is an absolute page turner. You are such a talented writer. So for my fans and listeners that don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and your life.
Myself and my life. Well, I'm a mom. I have 2 daughters, and I grew up in the Midwest and was a country girl and a happily farm girl. And then I moved to the big city of Phoenix, Arizona. And my life kind of got crazy from there. And that's when I decided to write this book. Still happily single after all of the stuff that I went through in the book. And just trying to get the word out there now about emotional abuse and, the survivor's reality of it.
Well, let me congratulate you. Is this your first book, I'm thinking?
It is. It is.
Okay. Well, you should definitely write more. My first book just came out on Valentine's Day, which all of my listeners know about. So tell me, how does it feel for you to be a first-time author?
Oh, it's amazing. I've always loved writing. I've always written in a journal. I've been really good at writing articles and blogs. And then I really never planned to write a book. I never wanted a life worth writing a book about, honestly. But I just, in the middle of the night, it kept coming up in my head that I need to write a book about this thing. And so I just started to write the outline and put it all together. And now here I am 2 years later, and it's a book. So it's pretty exciting.
That's absolutely amazing. What we try to do here at Snack Size is go after those things you want, listen to that little voice inside you that tells you to do something, and you never know what's going to come out of it. And you're touching on such a big and heavy subject, and the way you write about it is so personal and unique and descriptive. I honestly am very, very shocked to find that this is your first book. You have a real talent.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us about Toxik. Just we don't want to give everything away because we definitely want people to get into the book, but tell us a little bit about the book and what inspired you to write it.
Let's see. Let's start with what inspired me to write it, because that's kind of an interesting story, actually. So when I was in this relationship, I had never even heard of a narcissist. I didn't know what that was. Obviously didn't know that he was one. I just thought that everything that was going wrong with our relationship was my fault. But it got to the point where I didn't want to live the rest of my life like that. So I got out of the relationship, and then all of a sudden started reading these articles about narcissists and thinking, oh my gosh, I went through that, right? But when you read the articles, you're thinking, okay, well, I went through this part of it, but all of this other stuff doesn't apply. So the more and more I read about it, I thought, some of this is true. Most of it's not true. It's not that easy to spot. They're not, obvious. They're very good at their game. And so the checklists just don't help. Like, you're not going to see somebody out in public and be like, oh my gosh, this guy checks every box on the list, right?
Yeah.
So that's what inspired me to write the book. Like, I need to tell the reality of this thing. Like, they're so subtle and smooth that you just get sucked in. You get tangled in the web, which is where I came up with in the web, before you even know it. And they're just sucking the life out of you. And that was my inspiration for the book, is be like, this needs to not be so black and white. It needs to be told from a survivor's perspective.
That's amazing. For people who may be in the struggle and not know it, in your own words, what do you define as who or what is a narcissist? Like, what are traits that people can look for in their own lives to know, hey, I may be dealing with someone who is a narcissist or narcissistic?
It's really hard to say, honestly, because we've all read the articles, right? We've seen, they're self-centered, for example. Well, not all self-centered people are narcissists, but all narcissists are self-centered. Every person, including me, including you, has traits of a narcissist, honestly. Sometimes I'm self-centered. Sometimes I, do my own things to achieve my own goals. Sometimes I'm obnoxious. Sometimes I hurt people. But I think the difference between regular people like us and narcissists is the fact that once I know I've hurt somebody, I stop doing that. I don't intentionally walk all over people to achieve my goals. Even though they may feel like that, that's not my intention. I may be self-centered sometimes, but that's not my personality. So I think the differentiator between normal people and narcissists is, first, their intention, and second of all, if they continue to do it. In the book, there's a lot of examples that, of things that he did to me that normal people wouldn't do. For example, one of the things is, I went out one night with some friends and I just went out to have a good time. He offered to babysit my kid and my sister's kids. And when I got home, he was mad at me, and so he was mad that I didn't pay attention to him that night. He said that he cooked some food for me, and then I went to bed and he was mad that I didn't eat the food. So he threw the food on me. So like some of those things, instead of asking how my night was, he was all about what he did, and I was disrespectful to him. So narcissists always think you're being disrespectful to them. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are.
When I read this book, I see a woman who is very much in tune with herself. But then you read the book, and over the course of the relationship, you find yourself doing things and being in a situation that you didn't want to be in, because you thought that you were in love. When those things were happening, did you know that's what you were doing, or was it something you came to realize later?
Definitely came to realize it later. I wanted to make him happy. I would have done, and from reading the book, you'll see I did a lot of things to make him happy, and he was never happy. It was never enough. And I just kept trying, and I always thought it was my fault, and I kept going back thinking, okay, if I just do this one more thing, maybe he will love me like he did in the beginning. I'm pretty self-aware now, and I thought I was back then, but boy, I wasn't. I just did so many things that a person shouldn't have to do.
Do you ever look back at the beginning and say, oh, now I see what, like a red flag? Or I think that's what what are they doing on Facebook? The red flag thing? Yeah.
Red flags. Oh my gosh.
Do you see the red flags in the beginning now?
You know, honestly, there was a red flags from the moment I met him, and I can spot them now. I can think of them now. You know, people talk about love bombing, and he totally did that. Like within 3 weeks of meeting him, he was telling me that he loved me. He had already bought me expensive jewelry that I didn't wear. He had taken me on trips, you know, like the red flags are everywhere, right? You know, in hindsight.
Yeah. What is love bombing?
Love bombing is where they just overwhelm you with gifts and trips and compliments, and just, you know, they're the perfect guy, and they do everything to show you that they're the perfect guy. And it's just over the top, you know, like to tell me that he loved me within 3 weeks. That's love bombing. It's just over the top.
Gosh, three weeks is quite quick, but sometimes you get swept up in the moment, and it's what you want to hear, and it's what you need to hear, especially if you've been unlucky in love before, you know,
yes.
It can be very comforting. And like you said, it's a web that they're building, and they can suck you in.
Right.
So when did everything click, and what did being in that moment feel like? Feel like this is not the healthy relationship that I've convinced myself for it to be, and I need to get out of it. What was that moment like?
Oh, which time, honestly? There were so many times that I was like, this is so messed up, and I need to get out of here. You know, I need to get myself out of here. I need to get my daughter out of here. She was 8 when we met him, and she had been through a lot of trauma in her young life. And there were so many points, to be honest. And the final straw for me was just the fact that I realized I had done everything I could think of. Yeah. That's the only way I can put it. And it wasn't getting any better. In fact, he was getting worse. So like the last 9 months before I left were just honestly terrifying. And I slept with a pillow or a gun under my pillow because I was terrified, and I just knew I had to get out of there. So the realization wasn't like this big relief. It was terrifying. How do I do this? I have this young child. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money to my name, but I had to find a way.
Would you say that you've rebuilt your life now? It sounds like it to me.
Yeah, I have the most amazing life now. I can't even describe how blessed I am and how thankful I am and how hard I've worked to be living my best life right now.
What have you learned along the way from the point where you left to the life you have now?
So the point I left was one of the lowest points in my life. And it was, like I said, I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything to my name, but I just knew I had to get out. And along the way since then, obviously, I've learned what a narcissist is. I've studied a lot about psychology, relationships. There's a lot of things that happened in the first probably 2 years after that were almost as bad as what I went through when I was with him. Mm-hmm. So those things in hindsight were pretty bad. And I probably did a lot of things then, because I think when you leave a relationship, you kind of do a 180 in your personality and like swing completely opposite of your true nature and do just some crazy things, right? So now I've kind of centered myself again, and now I act true to myself because I know who I am. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out who I am, what I like, what I don't like, who I want to be around, what I want for my future. And it's been a up and down journey because it's been six years now. In March will be 6 years since I moved out.
And do you finally feel free with the publishing of this book? Like, did that help you feel free from that experience, at least in all the ways that you can be, to move forward in life?
Yes. The book was really quite an interesting experience because to read through my journals, because I've been writing in a diary since I was 16. So to read through my diary, to look at our pictures and just I outlined all those memories, and then I had to put words to them, and then I had to put feelings to them. And, honestly, I had nightmares, I had breakdowns, I had migraines. Like, writing this book was very emotional and very traumatizing, honestly, to see the big picture. Because when you're going through it, you don't really see it. When you're telling people about it, it's bits and pieces, but to put the whole big picture together, whew, yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
I want to highlight that because I think for anybody that's trying to work through something, whether it be a situation where you're dealing with a narcissist or anything difficult, journaling really, really can help you. And hey, you may even get a book out of it, right?
Right? Sure made writing a book easier.
Yes. If you want to talk about turning, lemons into lemonade, this is the way to do it, y'all. Like, this is amazing. So, reflecting on the book as a whole, what would you say are like one or two of the biggest things that you want your readers to take away when they are done reading Toxik?
I just want them, honestly, I want people to understand what a survivor goes through, because I feel like a lot of people hear about emotional abuse and they kind of blame the victim because they're like, oh, they shouldn't be so sensitive. And so I want people to take away from this book the reality of it. And so the next time that they hear about a narcissist or they hear from somebody that says they went out with a narcissist, they might have, maybe a little more understanding of how that kind of a situation really works and how people get into that kind of a relationship. Obviously, nobody wants to be treated that way. I didn't want to be treated that way, but I was so tangled in that web and so much in my, thinking that it was my own fault and that's why I didn't leave. Because if you love someone and you feel like I'm the one that needs to do better here, he's doing a great job, I need to do better, then you try to do better and you don't leave. So I was thankful that he, kept giving me more chances. That's how I felt about it. So again, the takeaways would be to show the reality of it and have people understand and have a little more compassion towards the survivors, and to be more realistic about what a narcissist really is, because we hear that word thrown around a lot. Oh, he's a narcissist, she's a narcissist. Most of the time they're not. They may exhibit some of the traits, but they're not truly a narcissist.
Right. And what I really, really like about this book is that, like, you don't do it from a perspective that says, like, this person is definitely anything, but you just show us who they are and you get sucked in, and it's so well written in that way. So I really, really feel that it does offer a very unique perspective on the actual experience and what it means to survive it.
Right. Well, and I did that intentionally because I wanted people to go along this journey with me, and I didn't know. And if you read the book, I never use any of the clinical terms, but every example of why he was and what he did and how he kept me in that position, it's all there. Everything that you read about, it's all there. And he was so smooth he's so smooth. Everybody loves him.
They always are, right?
Yeah, he's very charming and very good at his game.
So I have a question that I ask on every single episode. In your own words, what would you say is the secret to a happy and fulfilled life?
I would say the secret to a happy and fulfilled life is to know who you are, honestly, like what you don't like, what your goals are, knowing that people may not know what you do, but you know. So do the right things that make you feel good, even if they don't, my friends and family aren't always happy with the things that I do, but I do what I feel is best for my life. And that served me well. I didn't used to do that. A lot of us are people pleasers and we want everybody to like us. And now I want me to like me, because that at the end of the day, at the end of my life, I'm the only one that matters. I have to have lived my best life and do the best I can, and not just wait around for somebody to tell me that my life is good enough. I have to make it good enough in my own opinion.
I want me to like me. I am definitely going to use that. I think that's great. So for those of us who want to get into Toxik and more of you, I know you have a Facebook community, a blog. Tell us where we can find all that stuff at.
The best place to go is my website, which is toxic-books.com.
And there they can purchase the book?
Yes, there's a link to purchase the book on Amazon. There's some of the blogs I've written. You can read the first chapter for free on there.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a lot more information about me on there. There's links to my Facebook, and I believe I have Instagram link on there too.
Okay, we got Facebook and Instagram. I think that I'm seeing it's at Triumph Over Toxic on both of those, Facebook and Instagram. Is that right?
Yeah. So Triumph Over Toxic is kind of a inspirational site. I post memes and, that kind of, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's inspirational. And then I also have a author Facebook page, TL Durand, where people can comment on the book or they can share their own stories. I would really love to get more people to share their own stories.
Well, we love sharing stories here at Snack Size. So if you have a story, please go check out Teresa and all of her digital platforms. I'm sure she would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being on Snack Size. It has been an absolute pleasure. Congratulations on a wonderful and moving piece, Toxik. And I will make sure that if you have book suggestions, I'm going to put them in the show notes below. And Snacks, thank you for hanging out with us on Snack Size. And until next time, go be fabulous. Hey, Snack, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Now, I know you don't want to miss out on the party, so head on over to www.snacksizepodcast.com and sign up for email alerts about new episodes and very special announcements from me. Until next time, step out into the world and let them know that you are fabulous.